and through that, rural development as a mission and vision is achieved. That is why if the rural people are poor, then we will not call them to be developed. We cannot call our rural society to be developed. So the aim is to bring them above the poverty line. So that is why we have these poverty alleviation programs, whether it is through self-employment, whether it is through wage employment, or whether it is through entrepreneurship development. Then that is why in this we spoke about we day before yesterday and before that we spoke about programs related to poverty alleviation, and we spoke about various programs that are targeted towards wage employment and employment opportunities. Today we spoke about another dynamic issue, which is to provide them with credit facilities in rural areas. Through the credit facilities, a lot of economic activities, whether it is in terms of their own businesses or to um, enhance their existing businesses, credit facilities as an opportunity, as an availability, and as an easy accessibility was made to reach the rural poor through the programs that we discussed today in terms of certain corporations or in terms of certain uh, collections or kosh. What would be the correct word for kosh? Kosh means it's a treasury. It's a treasury. Okay, so certain treasuries made have been made available to the vulnerable sections of the society. So we've spoken about poverty and its alleviation. Spoken about employment. We've spoken about credit. We've spoken about education as a service, and now we will be talking about housing. So, house poverty, employment, credit, education, and now housing. So, the government of India also has a well laid out program to provide for houses to the rural poor. These the two programs that would be discussed in this unit, which are related to providing housing facilities to the poor, are the Indira Awas Yojana, and the second is Pradhan Mantri Gramoday Yojana, which is Gramin Awas. Gramin means rural, Awas means house. So 2.2 and 2.3, as you can see, there is a detailed discussion on these two yojnas, or yojana means a program. Yojana in Hindi means a program in English. Indra Awas. Awas means a house, home, house. So Indra Awas Yojana and Pradhan Mantri Gramoday Yojana. There are these two programs that have been discussed in detail in this unit. So as you can see in front of you and your screen, we have Indra Awas Yojana. It talks about in detail that how this program was put into place to provide for and to construct houses for the rural people. It was basically a part of a rural housing scheme. It had certain target groups. Since we all know that we are talking about rural development, so we are talking about the rural areas and its development. So yes, the target group for the rural people. How are these beneficiaries identified that they are the ones who are needy and need to be given a house? That procedures are listed here. Basically, it is done through Gram Panchayat. Gram Panchayats are village communities that are that has administrative powers, and most of the matters at the village level are dealt by this small committee, which is a village community, taken care of by office bearers from within the village. Then there is how are these beneficiaries selected? There is the details about that. It would not make any sense if I go word to word. This in this one very good initiative that was taken into consideration was to give special attention to women and their rights. It talks then there is what should be the functioning of an Indira Awas Yojana, what should be the layout of these houses, what is the cost that can be construction that can be given for one house. As you can see, in plain areas there is a difference between plain areas and in hilly areas. So in plain areas, the construction of houses which includes sanitary latrines and smokeless chulhas, 25,000. And if there is upgradation of a serviceable household, there is an extra amount of 12,500 rupees that can be given for upgradation of the existing structure. Then there is detailed about local material and the technology that has to be chosen. There is special financial assistance, or during the building of these houses, a special attention is given to fuel efficient chulhas, because chulhas is a stove on which cooking is done. And a lot of initially the our chulhas, or these stoves that were on which cooking was being done by the women in rural India, these chulhas would emit so much of a smoke that it was a health hazard for our house women and rural women. So special attention, special efforts were made to to encourage the use of smoke-free chulhas, and that is how, while when if a beneficiary is asking for the construction of their houses, these smoke-free chulhas became a part of the construction strategy and as part of the construction plan. So this is basically about the Indra Awas Yojana. It talks about a lot of implement how what is the monitoring, how it is monitored, what is the implementation trajectory, how it moves from the village to the block to the district level, how the monitoring of its funds is done. It is all written in quite some detail, and it could be very well read by you. And I'll be there to discuss it with you if in case the need be. It talks about the procedures, how funds are released, whether it is how when is the first installment given, when is the second, when is the third installment, what is the amount of money which is given. All these things are discussed in a great detail that under the Indra Awas Yojana. Another such yojana is the Pradhan Mantri Gramodaya Yojana, and this also has an objective of achieving development at a village level, and it has an aim of providing shelter to the rural poor. So, if we can see that the objective is to ensure that everybody living below the poverty line have a roof above their head. Here again, they are talking about who are the target groups, who are the beneficiaries. It is talking about that women are given special protective rights. It talks about how much amount is given, as what we discussed in Indra Awas Yojana, that there is a difference in plain areas and in hilly areas. Then there is also a provision of upgrading the raw houses. Raw means we call it kacha. Kacha would mean huts made of mud and thatched roofs. So we call it kacha, and they need to be converted into pakka. Pakka means bricked brick-lined houses, or houses made of proper cement and bricks. as against mud and thatched roof houses. So money is given for this, and there is again a whole implementation plan that is put in place. There is again a monitoring system that is there. These things are very clearly and specifically mentioned, that how all the monitoring level is ensured from the from top to bottom approach and from bottom to top approach. Both ways, this monitoring is done to ensure that there is no pilferage, there is no leakage, and there is no corruption uh, that is faced by that occurs at the level of implementation. So this is about rural housing. Now we have another. We have the last part of our program that we will discuss. Unit 3 to Unit 6. Take a 5 minutes break, and I think my suggestion is that keep all the four units handy and open in front of you so that we can go through it fast, because it is very basic in nature. While we'll be talking about healthcare, drinking facility, and rural sanitation, we will be talking about rural electrification and energy and rural connectivity. These again, even if we don't open the course material, we can take a short lecture and short discussion on how what are the rural healthcare facilities that are available, and the details are definitely given in your unit. How are we ensuring safe drinking water in rural areas? What is the electrification and the circuit of uh, powers being used to ensure electrification of rural villages? And finally, what how to ensure the connectivity in rural areas. So keep this material open with you. We'll be back in 5 minutes. I'll meet you in 5 minutes. Okay. Now, as you can see from the unit on rural health care, we see that the major concerns and the major healthcare programs that have been discussed are about how to control tuberculosis. Tuberculosis has been a major concern in India and in rural India, particularly per se, has been a major concern, and that is why it is taken up as in a mission mode all over the country. So we have a national TB control program. Then we have a national program for the control of blindness. We have there are free medical facilities and services provided for both these programs. In fact, for all the other programs that I will be discussing, the government provides free health facilities through primary health centers that are available in the rural area. So in every rural area, we have a primary health center which have been set up by the government, where the people from the villages can reach and take their benefits and services out of these centers. So we have also a national leprosy control program. We have national malaria eradication program. Mosquitoes is a big problem here. We have national filaria control program. We also have a national iodine deficiency disorder control program. Iodine becomes a deficiency of iodine, as you all know, causes goiter, which is very rampantly found here in India. So it was the one of the objectives of our government to control this disorder. Then there is medical care for remote and marginalized tribal and nomadic communities. India has a lot of tribal society and tribal people who are living in far areas, which has a very difficult terrain, and it is not accessible to the larger community. It is in extremely remote forests and within or the hills and within deep dense forests. So these medical care facilities need to reach them, as I said, instead of them reaching, coming out of their comfort zone and their far outreached areas into the mainstream. So health care facilities are moved ahead and moved into their system and into their localities. And then we have a national mental health program. So there are basically, this unit deals with these major healthcare programs, after which there is another special service that talks about is family welfare services. We'll discuss it in detail. But as of now, the healthcare programs that have been discussed within this unit and in this unit are majorly these eight that I have just now listed out. And details about all these, all of them, in a very comprehensive manner, have been given in your unit. You can go through them, and they are very clearly and structure. They are given in a very, very structured manner. So we talk about there is a paragraph each on each of the programs, whether it is a national TB control program, whether it is a national program for the control of blindness. It talks about, these paragraph talks about when was this program launched and how is it benefiting to the people. Then we have the National Leprosy Control Program, the National Malaria Eradication Program, National Filaria Control Program, National Iodine Deficiency Disorder Control Program, and then we have the medical care for remote and marginalized tribal and nomadic communities, and lastly the National Mental Health Program, which is basically aimed to ensure the mental health of the community. And this is a community based program with an approach where it includes training of mental health practitioners who can solve and create awareness about the mental health problems, which are now quite commonly found amongst the amongst not just India but I think all over the world. Mental health as a problem is being recognized, which initially did not find a place in the people were not able to understand whether it is a mental health disorder or whether it is general depression, anxiety, or is it something else. Here in India, people were said to have been into demonic possessions if such a thing happened. If anybody would go mentally disturbed, if something happened, then people thought that demons and evils and spirits have entered their body, and that's why a person is behaving in this strange, queer manner. But a lot of awareness needed to be spread and told to them that yes, there are mental disorders, which is a medical problem, and it needs to be tackled in a medical way rather than in a superstitious uh, intervention. Then we have another health service, which is the family welfare services, and it talks about the health of the mother and the child, the reproductive health. The reproductive health was taken into a major consideration, and when we speak about reproductive health, it also deals with the maternal health and the child health both, and how these and all these welfare programs, particularly the family welfare programs, where safe deliveries and safe healthcare facilities, safe pregnancy periods, and um, uh, taking care of a pregnant mother and providing services and all the mineral all the mineral requirements were being met by the government, and it dealt with a lot of antenatal care. It aimed towards safe deliveries. It was immunization about and vaccination of whichever diseases that could be preventable, which were preventable. These things all were taken care of within this program, and national non-government organizations at the community level were roped in to ensure that these services reach out to the beneficiaries in to the reach out to the beneficiaries in the rural areas. So this is what is basically when we talk about the rural healthcare services. Next, we will talk and come directly to the. This was the health. Now we will talk about the drinking safe, providing safe drinking water at village level. I think we'll take a 10 minutes break and see if any one of you would want to ask me something. Are you all with me? Since a lot of programs are to be discussed, I know it gets a little boring and not much can be done about it, because program and policies and trying to understand them is definitely is little boring. But any questions that you need to ask, please go ahead. My chat box is empty today. Okay, no one. I hope you people are there and you're not like silenced me and moved out of the class. Okay.
No, no.
Yes, thank you so much. I know these discussing these programs and policies, they become a little boring and it becomes a one-way dialogue. I would really
Hello, Ma.
if you could give in your input and tell me what kind. Let me take a break now. Okay, let us stop talking. Let me stop talking. Now you tell me that can you also give me some examples of not too many, but we have spoken about poverty alleviation. We've spoken about self-employment. We've spoken about wage employment. Difference between self-employment is wage employment is that self-employment means we are ourselves taking up some activity in which we are generating employment for ourselves, and wage employment is if we are working for some other person and getting wages out of it, or money out of it, or income out of it. So we've talked about poverty alleviation, we've talked about self-employment, we've talked about wage employment, we've spoken about microcredits or the loaning credit system. We've spoken about elementary education, and we've spoken about housing. Now, out of these seven topics that we've spoken and discussed in last 3 days, can you tell me one of your programs, some programs that are running at your level on any one of these seven, which you think is a benchmark program, and you think it is something that you feel proud of, that your country is implementing such a humongous outreach program?
Yes, ma'am. This is not just a joke. Thank you so much for your presentation. I got a lot of learning, but maybe just a simple reflection from my side. I heard you talk about actually the different healthcare programs that the government of India has put in place. Of course, targeting the entire country, but specifically with focus on the rural communities. In Uganda, we have the AIDS control program. But again, in your presentation, I did not hear you mention any kind of program that the government of India has put in place to try and control the issues of HIV and AIDS spread, especially targeting, of course, the rural communities. So perhaps maybe you could highlight to us if at all the government of India has put in
Ojo,
place
could you
any.
be a little louder? Though we can understand you, but if you're a little loud, it will be better and more audible.
Yes, doctor, I want to understand from your side, do you have any program on the issues of HIV and AIDS? Because as for us in Uganda, we have a program that is intended to address the issues of HIV and AIDS for the country. So perhaps you would also share with us if there is anything like that for the government of India, of course, trying to address the issues of HIV and AIDS. Then secondly, I want to share with you our experience in Uganda. In Uganda, on the issues of actually promoting equality for all, the government of Uganda has put in place universal primary education, which is targeting actually all the school-going age children between the ages of 6 to 14 years. So basically, that is what we have. But also, the government is trying also to put in place another policy which is intended to look at actually life after primary education, because we wouldn't actually want to see the children only actually completing primary education. So we now have what we call universal secondary education, trying to emphasize the aspect of children. I mean, going up to actually the secondary education level. So that's what I can share with you from our country, Uganda. Thank you, Anoba.
Mr. Rojo, thank you so much. Yes, of course, as you discussed, that Uganda, like India, I think what you're trying to tell us that Uganda too has elementary education as one of its primary concerns and primary mandates, or as a development program. And regarding AIDS and its control here, we have our AIDS control societies that have been put up in place in every state has its own state control board and state control society, and AIDS control society. Sorry, state AIDS control society, and a lot is being done to to counter this issue, and it is one of the major concerns of our country, and one of the major concerns of the health department also. Uh, so, as what I guess all of you would be able to understand that maybe the names are different, maybe the nomenclatures are different of of the programs that are being run here, but the objectives probably are the same even in your country. the main aims of development and the major concerns and issues of development that need our focus remain the same. And the programs that are being put in place to meet up these needs and to achieve these goals and to tackle these problems, the program to tackle these programs, the policies that are being made are one and the same here, or maybe even at your place, which there is only a change of name and how you we take it up, but the beneficiaries, the vulnerabilities, and the problems remain the same. So probably, and that is why we will be able to understand what is happening here in a better manner, because that is what is happening there at your end also. And it is particularly because of this commonality that we have and we share amongst each other, us with each other, that where we can actually understand our society, you can understand this and we can understand that society better. So that is why probably this initiative and this course was also initialized and started, where we are able to understand each other's society in a better manner. Yeah, fine. Thank you so much, Mr. Rojok. Anybody else who would want to contribute? Okay, we have Mr. Kabugo Faith telling us that there is a national leprosy control program that has been launched, and there is an integrated TB control program in Uganda. And how can such integrated programs be made more sustainable? Okay, now sustainability is one issue which, if you go through these programs in your country, whether it is a national has been integrated, whether you look at your TB control program or your national leprosy control programs, if there is a participatory management of people at the community level by the community, and for if it is for the community by the community, then it becomes sustainable. The community and the by the term community I mean the target group where these services are being sent and rendered, that community has to be involved in its implementation. Let it not be an outside intervention just being given to them. Their involvement at every step, and which we call as participatory management, is very, very important. So if that kind of an interaction and intervening is can be ensured, then any kind of a program will definitely reach and will definitely be sustainable. We have another question in South Sudan. We have sorry, ah, we have free primary and secondary education to reduce the literacy rate. Same is the case in India. Even our primary education is free. We have a polio immunization program that is a government-owned program to ensure all children are free from polio virus. A similar program is being done here also. Polio drops and polio vaccination is provided at the doorstep of each house in India. It's a very, very, very vast program where every child who is born is given their vaccinations and polio drops, and actually the health workers go to each and every house where there is a child who's born, and the polio drops are given to them at their door, at their home service, in their homes. In Gambia, we have a fast track initiative program for education, a World Bank funded program where every community in the rural area as well as urban area has access to primary and secondary education free of cost. So, as you can see from the chat box, we have another comment is here. We have a housing program here in Nigeria since 1960, but the program is not sustainable due to many factors. I'm sure your government must be working upon its sustainability, and a lot of programs are initiated, are started, and somehow they get merged into other plans and programs. And sometimes these programs shut down because some other new initiative is put in place, and which lands up performing better. So yes, many programs do shut down, but what we can see from the chat box and the comments that have come here is that your programs and our programs, I won't say yours or mine, all us, our programs, whether it is in South Africa or here in India, are actually the same. It is providing for free education. It is providing or giving free services to the basic needs and requirements of sustainability of the people, whether it is education, whether it is healthcare, whether within health we have a lot of number of services and facilities that are being provided, whether it is at the family level in terms of the delivery, pregnancy, the maternal healthcare services, or it is the child healthcare services, or it is the polio services, or it is AIDS control, or it is TB control. They are all the same, and the services are being provided free of cost by the government. Thank you so much for sharing, and let us now proceed to the last two units of no, last three units of our block. We have a system, and we have programs for ensuring safe drinking and rural sanitation. I will just share my screen for you to see this. Can you? Yeah. So we have drinking water and rural sanitation. Uh, uh, there are strategies and programs to ensure a safe supply of drinking water in the rural areas, and we have there are programs, policies, strategies, and missions that have been put in place to ensure the accessibility of fresh drinking water and also sanitation in rural India. So this unit is designed to discuss in detail about the various facilities and various initiatives, sorry, that are being taken up to ensure safe drinking water and rural sanitation. So, as this unit is will proceed, it will tell you about what could be the health hazards if proper drinking water is not made available, what could be the economic crisis, how development can be a major development can also be curtailed, and proper development will not be reached if these services are not provided at the right time and right place. And so, what are the strategies and programs for the safe rural water supply? Under these, they have spoken about three such programs. There is an accelerated rural water supply program. Then we have the Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission. And we have Swajal program, which is a policy reform and operational strategy. Now, all these programs are discussed in detail as to when was it initiative. For example, the Accelerated Rural Water Development Program was initiated in 1972 and 73, and it was adopted for the strategy that was taken up had two wings. First was to identify the problem village, and then to accelerate the coverage of the problem villages. And there was a strategy was put in place as to how we would ensure that proper drinking water reaches to the rural people, and how this problem would be tackled, and how to also promote the sustainability of this program. Since we were discussing in the chat box, and it was discussed in the chat box and written in the chat box, that how sustainability, not just here but everywhere, is a problem. What are the norms that for what is the minimum safe drinking water per capita per day for a human being? uh, the parameters for that also was set as 40 liters of safe drinking water per capita per day, and we there were hand pumps set up, or stand posts that were made available for at least in an area which could cater to 250 persons in and around that hand pump. What was the sustainability and the role of women was also has also been clearly listed out, which can be seen over here, and you can go through it. The role of the Panchayati Raj institution. I told you, Panchayati Raj are these village community administrative units that play a very very important, extremely important role in the administrative system of our country, because it tackles and deals with rural issues, and it is a service and community which is living within them, within the rural area, with the rural people. They themselves are a part of the rural community, and it is from them only that a leader is chosen and a community is made. So it is very participatory and very realistic in nature, because they spring up from that, from within the community. So the vision of the community members, these village communities, are the same as their brothers who are living around them, and on and for whom they have to take the various for whom they have to coordinate with the government and get the services at the doorstep of the villages. So then we have okay. So Rajiv Gandhi National Drinking Water Mission. This also is a program that has been discussed in detail over here, and how it is. What are the This program also has a number of support activities under its wings, whether it is in the form of human resource development, and where these cells have been set up to ensure proper planning and designing and implementation of water supply systems, and how to ensure proper water supply system. There is information, education, and communication, where information is shared through various mediums and uh, tools, where they are told about and emphasized and made aware about the importance of using safe drinking water and the hazards of not taking and drinking unsafe safe water. Then we have and pura IT, an entire IT cell that is managing the management information system to through software. So it's very technology based also. This program ensures it ensures that proper water supply reaches to the people living in rural areas. Then the next one, we have the project. The Swajal project is also based with the same objective of providing drinking water supply in a continuous manner, and the people are made aware and should understand the importance of drinking safe water. So there is this water supply should under the Swajal scheme, the water supply. When we are talking about water supply, we are talking about two main issues and concerns that we have in our mind. First is having it should be sustainable water supply, and it should be environmental sanitation. It should have sanitation facilities. So there were certain objectives that were listed out of Swajal. There are strategies which have been written over here. How the activities would be taken up, what is the operational strategy, that would be discussed in detail over here. So that is about providing two, three schemes that spoke about providing safe drinking water at the village level. Then we have sanitation in rural areas, and the unit talks about how diseases spread, how the diseases can be prevented, and what is the statistical status of health of sanitation in rural area, which is not good. Our sanitation facilities in rural areas have been very, very poor. And if we go by the National Sample Survey, it shows that 17.5% of the rural population was only 17.5% of the rural population was using washrooms or latrines that we call it here. So sanitation facilities in India and the practices are not too great. There is more of open defecation. So this has a major health and sanitation. This causes a major health and sanitation hazards. So as a mission mode, ensuring uh, yeah, stopping open defecation has been one of the major objectives of the government. So there is so this program was launched. The total sanitation campaign was put up in place to ensure that proper sanitation methods and proper sanitation practices are taken up by the rural people in the country. So this is about the sanitation and the sanitation mission. As the word itself says, that it ensures that rural sanitation is encouraged, and rural sanitation as a concern is taken up seriously by the rural people, where they make where they practice, where they indulge in such practices which are non-hazardous in health, hazardous in nature, or sanitational hazardous in nature. Now we let us come to rural electrification and rural connectivity. These are very there are certain programs that are being run for rural connectivity and rural electrification and rural connectivity. Rural electrification programs, as you can see from here, rural electrification and energy. This unit 5 will discusses in detail about how electrification services and electrification is an uh, important agenda in most of the elections in India. So whenever there is any election that is coming up, the electricity for all and 24-hour electricity supply is one of the major promises that are made by the government, and then their efforts are to ensure that whatever promises that we've made during our campaigns are fulfilled if in case the government comes into power. But whichever government comes into power, rural electrification and electrification of villages has been a major agenda and as a major plan of action in India since a long period, and we've been able to achieve this goal to quite some extent, where a number of households now have access to electricity, and there are data and tables that are made available to you through in the units to go through it and to understand the magnitude and to understand the expanse as to how to till where our electrification wires and electrification systems, and or in other words electricity has reached to which parts and to which parts of the country and down to which parts of the country. Then we have the non-conventional energies for rural areas. This is an initiative where you need to go through this. It's more of it's more of an environmental discussion that can take place, and that needs to be discussed and needs to be taken care of. Where if we see that most of the fuel that is used for cooking in India, as you can see from the table, is that it is basically firewood, or it is crop residue, or it is cow dung cakes, it is coal, lignite, charcoal, kerosene, LPG, electricity, biogas, and any other. So as you can see that if we look at biogas, the numbers are very less. The effort is now being made to bring up this number. And if we go through the various renewable resources, the effort is to bring up the numbers of biogas usage, solar energy uses, or wind energy into using it as a source of cooking, is what is the effort of the government now. So a lot of money is being pumped into, a lot of encouragement, a lot of credit, a lot of loans are being given to people, and to the rural people, encouraging them to use the renewable energy sources for their daily use, and so that the dependence on non-renewable resources can be brought down to the minimal. So we have a lot, we have it's a huge mission, and a lot still needs to be achieved, at least when we speak about the renewable energy usage, and the mindset of the people still needs to be worked upon. There is a lot of awareness, a lot of encouragement that is being done in an initiative at the rural village level, and a lot needs to be still done. So we have an Indian Renewable Energy Development Agency, which is a public sector. It is a financial institution, and it can sanction loans to it sanctions loans, and it is it is there to promote it is there to promote the deployment of the renewable energy systems in India. So India is making its efforts towards achieving this target of using renewable energy resources in its daily day-to-day life, at least in rural areas, which it feels will be a major benchmark into rural development. Now, coming to the last part, and we don't have too much of a time, but rural connectivity, I will quickly um, discuss about rural connectivity here. As you can see from the from my screen, we have rural connectivity, and connectivity means to be able to reach to the rural area, and the rural area to be and the rural people to reach out to urban areas, or maybe the to and fro movement of the urban rural community, which has a number of benefits, because if there is connectivity leads to socio-economic development. Socio-economic development can only be achieved through proper no road networks, because if there is no transportation and no movement and no connectivity, then any kind of a socio-economic advancement, development, movement, improvement cannot happen. So all these, a number of programs are there that are made to ensure the preparation of or the connectivity of rural area through roads, through roads. So we have a Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak. Sadak means a road Yojana. So it is Gram means a village. So there is a program that is specifically designed to, and money is allocated and given for rural for roads to be built in villages. This unit talks about what is it basically talks about in detail about the Pradhan Mantri Gram Sadak Yojana, and how this program is reaching out to the rural villages, villages. It talks about the various selection works, road works, planning and selection of the road works. What are the state agencies that are there? How are proposals prepared and how is their clearance given to them? What are the types of roads that are constructed? Who does the execution of this work? How is the quality assured? How is the maintenance of these roads ensured? So all these things are given in detail in this unit, including details about the financing, where do the funds come from, how is the resources to build up these roads mobilized, what is the system of both online and offline management and monitoring. There is also training and capacity building under this yojana or project or program or policy. So we can see that roads and its construction and ensuring the connectivity of the villages is an uh, important the government feels it's an important thing, and we also feel it's important for rural development. For rural development to happen, connectivity is a must. We all work upon connectivity in rural areas. No, history has said it that all those areas which are not connected are not so developed. As and how connectivity increases, the development of that area also increases. With this, we have completed our block 4. According to me, mine is block 4. I don't know what is yours there. If there is anything that you want to ask and want to contribute, we can. Otherwise, the time is over and we can even sign out for the day. But please feel free to give in any input that you want to regarding drinking water, rural sanitation, electrification, and connectivity. Any special thing, specific program that you would want to discuss and let the let our friends here to know, it would be a pleasure. Okay, so I think since there is nobody who has to say anything, and I feel that everybody is tired from the day, 2 hours of lecture. Neither I want to speak anymore, nor you want to listen anymore. So till then, we'll meet tomorrow. Till then, bye. And please, again, as a teacher, I'm requesting you to go through your block 5, which is the last block remaining to discuss, which is about natural resource management and environment. It would be interesting if you would read it, and then we have a lecture, because I don't want it to be a one-way dialogue. So let's keep it, since tomorrow is the last day. So let's have good interactive session tomorrow. Okay. See you then. Bye
Thank
for
you.
now. Bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Good night. Thank you very much,
Thank
ma'am.
you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Miss, mm, Mr.
Al Suri,
Sule Omar.